Well, how are those atoms held together? They're held together by chemical bonds. And chemical bonds arise from the interactions between charged particles. So each atom has protons and electrons in them, positive and negative charges. And so we can get an attraction between these oppositely charged particles in different atoms that cause them to stick together. And we can break this big category of chemical bonds into two types, ionic and covalent. So ionic bonds are going to occur between metals and nonmetals. These involve the transfer of electrons from one atom to another. When an atom loses or gains electrons, it becomes an ion, right? And so if one atom loses electrons and gives those electrons to another atom, now we have a negative ion and a positive ion, and their opposite charges attract them like little magnets. So it always goes the same way. The metal becomes the cation, and the nonmetal becomes the anion. So in the solid phase of an ionic compound, we're going to have a lattice or a geometric arrangement of positive and negative ions. Here is the formation of sodium chloride in pictures. So sodium metal, we've got sodium atoms, and chlorine gas, we have these chlorine molecules here. So a sodium atom can lose an electron and give that electron to a chlorine atom. When that happens, we get a sodium plus cation and a chloride minus anion. And we learned how to predict the charges for these two elements in chapter 2. Now we have positive and negative, and they're going to attract each other. And they're going to stick together in a way that maximizes the attraction between opposite particles and minimizes the repulsion between same charged ions. In a covalent bond, we have sharing of electrons. So an ionic bond, we get transfer of electrons and we make ions. Covalent, the prefix co involves sharing, right? If you're co-sleeping with your children, well, I mean, you're not getting any sleep, but they're sleeping in the bed with you, right? Co-sleeping. So a covalent bond has to do with the sharing of electrons. And this is going to happen between two or more nonmetals. Ionic bonds, ionic compounds, one metal, one nonmetal. Here, there's no metals involved, we just got the nonmetals. Nonmetals like to form negative ions, anions, and so if you get two nonmetals together, they're both going to say, hey, give me an ion, give me an electron, I want to become an anion. But nobody wants to give one up because they both want to get them. And so then they share instead. So the covalently bonded atoms become a molecule. So here we have the nuclei of two different atoms, and if they're sharing this electron that's off to the side, you don't get as much attraction as when that electron is right between. And so this will maximize the attraction and pull those two atoms together. Covalently bonded compounds are called molecular compounds because they have molecules.